here that will be working on the site, which right now the track for that will be late second quarter, starting on site. It's an ideal time to be moving dirt. If there is an ideal time in Indiana to do that, we'll have the best shot at reducing that. So I'm open to answer any questions on the overall scope and the process to get to this number. Our goal is that we settle in on this number, and we will turn this into a guaranteed maximum price and put that in the bond agreement for the commissioners to execute at an upcoming meeting here very soon, hopefully. So with that, I can answer any questions if you'd like. I'll let Baird and the team talk through their strategy to give some thoughts. And then we can answer questions.
What was that first one you came that you had before the $120,000?
$804,000. Yeah, there's 4 line items that we have to get to that.
And those were contingencies?
Yes.
Any other questions for Dustin?
I just noticed a huge change in the general trades. I mean, it dropped almost by 50%. What attributed that?
Yeah. One of the items, the kitchen and laundry equipment, which is $692,000 of that, was originally in the general trades, and it was a much higher number in the general trades. We decided that it would be best for us to pull that out of the general trades package and just contract direct with that kitchen and laundry equipment supplier. So that reduced it significantly. And then we worked with a lot of different subcontractors, but at the same time, we received some more bids from general contractors on that.
Okay.
So, yeah, there was much how we had some lack of participation in a couple areas. We've got a lot of numbers. That package in particular is made up of a lot of smaller scopes, and there was similar concern on that. So it was a good savings. Same thing with concrete. It's a good chunk of money. We received, I think, 3 more bids on that. So that's what really drove that down. There were no scope changes in the numbers of that.
Did you get any additional bids on the cell packages? How'd that come out? Did the other guy, was he higher than who you're using currently, the first bid?
They are extremely close.
Are they?
Yep. It was good to have that number. It's a check to what we had, but also there's competition there, because that's normally a package we only get one participant in. So the numbers are very close. They're not the low bidder, but it's right there. So
Thanks for doing that.
yep. I'll turn it over to Josh and let him talk, and any questions that come up, we'll come back to this. We're happy to.
Thank you.
I also have a quick handout. I don't know if it's printed out, but that's how we
It's the same one from the.
It does. I agree. On top of it. My name is Josh Schnock. I'm with Robert W. Baird. We've been engaged as underwriters to work with Big Tilly on some of the structuring and the financing for the jail project. I'm going to go through this list. If you have any questions, just feel free to let me know. I can clarify and take things on here. Anything that's been said. So right now, when we came in, we saw a couple of.
I'm sorry, Josh. What are we looking at?
Yes, those. Yeah.
I have extra copies too.
I probably do, but yeah, that's easier. Thank
Does
you.
anybody else need one?
Okay.
Here we go. Okay, so when we were first engaged in the project, we saw that there was a property tax backup on this bond. When you use property tax for a bond, it's a 20-year cap. That's as long as you can borrow. And there was a borrowing constraint. So to get to that $1,055,000 of average annual lease rentals, we wanted to drop that property tax pledge and go straight to local income tax. That gives you the optionality to go as far as 25 years on a borrowing. So that was able to drop that annual borrowing limit to hit something that was more of a need for the county. So when we're looking at these lit buckets and which types of lit you wanted to use to repay these bonds, there's two that we've located that we think would be beneficial or what's best. One is the CNR lit, that is correction, rehabilitation, local income tax. That is also known as jail lit. It's kind of another term, so we might use jail lit, that's interchangeable. So that would be the first one, and then the other one is just the certified shares, which is your regular local income tax. I'd like to note that the CNR lit, the jail lit, is what we like to use solely for the repayment of these bonds. And then if needed, the certified shares can come in as almost like a backup to repay these bonds. There's a couple different things we've looked at throughout the restructuring this model to try to save the county some money. One thing that we look at, that we try to do on all lease deals, is to have an interim lease asset. When you do a lease rental revenue bond, you cannot lease the asset until it's fully constructed. So you can't begin building the jail and then say it's leased because there's no real fully leased asset for the people who buy these bonds. And so our recommendation is to use the old jail as the leased asset, so you can avoid capitalized interest. When I say capitalized interest, that is borrowing for the interest and it's added to the borrowing amount. So that borrowing amount goes and it prepays that interest for you. Well, that raises the borrowing amount. So you don't, if you can find an interim lease asset, that's better to lower that borrowing amount. That's obviously more beneficial for the county. Another thing that was in a model that you had originally was a debt service reserve. We believe that you can drop that debt service reserve. We've done it many times with S&P to work through it with S&P to drop a debt service reserve. And that is normally funded at maximum annual debt service. There's a formula that in general is maximum annual debt service. And so we would be looking at like $1 million savings there as well. The other option is that we recommend is to use an early call feature. Normally it's a 10-year call option. We would like to look at an 8-year call option. That gives the county the option to either call these bonds and restructure after 8 years, or you could use the excess revenues that you have to pay down these bonds earlier. And to kind of dive into that, I ran a simulation a week or two ago, and I used solely the jail lit, that CNR lit, and I was able to find that a county would be able to pay down these bonds as quickly as 2040, which is at the expiration of the CNR lit. So if you completely lockbox that jail lit, I found that it's feasible under current market rates that you'd be able to pay down those bonds in 2040. I used a moderate growth rate that's less than what the county has seen in the last 5 years, and I think it's feasible. And if not, then the remainder of the 4 years that I have modeled, you would be using the certified shares to pay the remaining years. So as I said, the average annual lease rentals is $1,055,000 is what we have right now. That's under current market rates, and that's under a 4.08 true interest cost, which is the average borrowing cost over the 24 years for the county. And that would put us at a final bond maturity of February 1st, 2047. And then to kind of go through the rest of the page, the sources of funding at the bottom, we have direction from the county bank to take out the edit funds out of the funds on hand. So we did that, and we kept in some of the other funds to show the net bond proceeds and then the remainder of the funds, and that altogether gives us a $15 million or $25 million project fund. So, which is right in line with what Dustin just.
That 4.08 is guaranteed for the life of the loan of the bond?
That would be a fixed rate if you were to borrow today.
I like that. I have always been concerned that using edit funds or putting on edit funds to make a payment. I'm happy that's out of there.
Yeah, that's, if you have any questions, I think, my last comment, to you is that we've seen interest rates go up the last year. I'm sure you're fully aware if you had to buy a house, or if you're fully aware the interest rates have gone up dramatically in the last year. We've seen some interest rates, they've moderated a little bit in the last month or so, last 3 weeks. They've come down slightly. I think time is very important. We've worked with a lot of clients across Indiana this year. To move quickly and efficiently has been very important. So I wanted to point that out to everybody, that being able to move swiftly and get the process moving is important, and I think it is of benefit to the county. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those.
I just had two questions. One on using the current jail as a leased asset. The structure for that would be what? How's that done from a documentation standpoint?
The attorney would draft it and to have an interim leased asset. And then once the jail, the new one is completed.
And there's no valuation issues with the current jail?
There can be, and we'd have to look into that.
Okay. The second question is, if it was a property tax backup versus jail lit, would that be a decrease in the interest rate you'd expect if it had the property tax?
It's possible, it depends on what S&P would rate it at. But you would have to then, if you want to do a property tax, your annual payment would increase significantly. Yeah, so there is a trade-off.
And we
Yes,
traded that off, and you
Yes.
think it's still valuable to have a little bit longer term
yes,
on it to keep the
keep the payment down.
Okay, thank you, that's all I have.
And in return though, after the 8-year period, if we do have extra funds in that, it can be applied to shorten the term.
That would be my recommendation to you, is to use all the jail lit to repay these bonds. And so after 8 years, use all of those excess revenues to begin kind of chopping at that principal amount.
Can only be used for.
So
I would say-
even like we put 800,000 in the rainy day this year, say 10 years down the road, we have $1 million to put in the rainy day fund, that can be, say,
Well, anything can be, but like,
Anything can be
it's the
applied.
obligation of the jail lit
Right.
to exclusively to debt service.
Correct,
That-
but I'm saying above that.
Above that, you
We
can,
could
that's
put, we could
discretion.
take half that $1 million and put towards that jail fund to get excess paid off early. So that,
Yes, but yeah, you're right.
Will the call feature be detrimental to attracting investors, you think?
You would get a lower rate if you did a 10-year call feature. That's just how it is. If you were buying something and somebody said, I can take this money away in 8 years or 10 years, which one would you rather? You'd say, I'd rather be able to hold on to this investment for 10 years. But for the benefit of being able to pay it off at the expiration of the 2040 jail lit, we believe the 8-year call feature is what's best.
I just didn't know what that meant.
It's not as much
Potential
as you'd think,
investors.
but there is, yes, you would be borrowing at a slightly lower rate than a 10-year call.
Any other questions? I'm a little confused as to, the next action we need to take if we feel like this is, an appropriate way to progress, and these are, appealing figures in front of us, and the time frame associated. What do we need to do as a body?
I would suggest, if it meets with your approval, to just give a resolution, approving, it's not a final, it's obviously not final conclusion, it's not gonna be the final voice on it, but at least in my estimation, you would give, the commissioners the message that this looks good, that this is improved sufficiently, that you are, so that would be a resolution only.
From my perspective, I want it to be absolutely crystal clear for the commissioners, whether they meet in a special session or at their next meeting, exactly where we stand. I want there to be any ambiguity. So I will make a motion that we send a resolution to the commissioners that we will fund the jail project, or it is our intention to fund the jail project at this $25 million. Appropriate.
I think that's correct. And that's the 25. four nine twenty, 840.
Well, the 25 million that we can borrow
Okay,
from the
gotcha.
financial
Thank you. That's
advisor.
better number. 25 million.
So, speaking directly to this,
Is there a
by,
second?
oh, yes,
Thank you.
I think that it's absolutely imperative,
You wanted
it
it.
is 100% clear that every penny that we ever get in jail lit goes directly and only to debt service. And by doing that, we save the taxpayers probably millions of dollars. I have to look at it. I think that's a fair statement, wouldn't you? By accelerating those payments.
Yes.
Hundreds of thousands
Yes.
at minimum, but probably millions of dollars of interest that we're saving them. And then that tax would expire at the end of that anyway. And this whole project would be done in 17-ish years, 17.
Roughly, yeah, 17, 18 years, yep.
Yes. So, that way, I mean, I think that it is imperative that we have a great deal of discipline now, so that people don't put themselves in bad situations 20 years from now, or, 15 years from now, with how these funds are utilized.
How do we document and track that discipline? Is that something that can be wrote up, to make sure that we dedicate, that councils that come behind us are disciplined to dedicate that CNR lit revenue?
It gets locked, yes, sir, it gets locked into the bond documents.
Okay.
So it's no longer discretion, it's like any other borrowing, it is then upon the, next council's, without any question, they'll have the right to change it, if the bond documents not being paid off early, and all those other good things, we just can't change the commitment for that, funding source.
Okay. We have a motion on the floor by Josh Pluto, seconded by Tracy Martin, to create a resolution that suggests our intention to the commissioners to fund the jail project at the specified $25 million number.
Up to.
Up to, that's a good clarification, thank you.
Would you like to have this as an attachment,
Yes, I think that's appropriate.
and to add to the resolution to have this attachment as the exhibit? Yeah. Do it right now.
This attachment being
The Baird
the
document.
Baird financing terms document, correct?
Yes.
Right, any other comment or discussion?
They had talked about at their meeting, having a joint meeting next week with you guys.
Okay. I think if you guys are taking the action you are, the joint meeting's not necessary, but probably a special meeting with just the commissioners to get our agreement going. And the council can continue on their timeline with the bond council.
For the joint, that if you wanna have a special meeting, they suggested the 26th, like at 4:00 in the afternoon.
I would allow them to have it whenever they, I don't think we need to be there.
I think this resolution is sufficient.
I think it's as clear as it can be.
I agree.
Get it.
So do you still need the special session?
We may want the special session with just the commissioners to get our agreement going, cause that agreement allows us to lock in our pricing. And then Baird and Baker Tilly and Barnes, all those people can work with the council to move the financials along.
I just wanted to submit for the record, I did talk to Matt earlier yesterday, and his assessment, he validated everything that was in the stuff. He said he had no concerns with it, and echoed the sentiment that it was critically important because, there could be consequences if we didn't dedicate all of those all of the jail lit dollars to debt service. It would put pressure on the regular lit, what's the word?
Certified shares.
Certified shares in future years if we didn't pay ahead on the debt as we intend.
I think they brought that up, that they had talked to Matt Everly and the commission.
Yeah, we we've worked with Baker Tilly and Barnes and Barrett. It's been a joint effort to get to this point.
I'm sure he would not use this language, but he was greenlighting everything that we've been presented today.
Okay, yeah, we have a motion on the floor. All those in favor of creating this resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Just love that.
Version 3.
It's gonna be all on this version.
Thanks.
You guys all received papers in front of you this morning, and I'm not the one that kind of got it. But anyway, back in probation, and I did not highlight it because I just wanted to talk to you first. So that's on. 101. No, it's not, it's in joint courts, sorry, joint courts. Above the CASA director, the translators, we had put, or you had put $35 in, and we have a paper here that's stating that they have a memorandum of understanding since 2020, that they pay the translator $75. Up to, I'm gonna actually say up to, because if it's like a half a day, it's 35. But this was not given to us at budget time, so I just wanna make sure, you want me to change that?
Mandated, you know.
That's not me, it's just under, they have a memorandum of understanding with, the interpreter. So,
What's that under, did you say?
translators and
Under
joint
joint
courts.
Do we need another motion for an amendment to the salary ordinance?
Probably, but I'm gonna give you one more too.
Okay.
The other one is public defender, which they received, that the hourly rate that must be paid to public defenders in the non-capital cases shall be at least $100 an hour for work performed on or after January 1. So, if you make a motion to change this, I'll just write it on here, the one that we did, and change the version to that. This
You
one
better
is-
date them too.
They always are dated.
Yeah, the B's date, the version's date. Yeah.
Well, they dated on the side.
Oh, you're in the notes.
So, what do you think?
Yeah, I move we amend the salary ordinance for $75 for translators and $100 per hour for public defenders.
I'll second that motion.
All right, we have a motion on the floor by Josh Blue, seconded by Scott Ayers to amend the translator pay from $35 an hour to $75 an hour, and the public defender pay from $90 an hour to $100 an hour on the salary ordinance. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, motion passes 6-0. Sorry, I thought he was standing back there. 5-0, Paul Ryder being absent.
Thank you, and I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're highlighted item.
Highlighted items. Sorry.
I just have to go in and English into the rest. Know it. You know it.
Great. Okay,
You got me before.
We're hitting the ball in January, aren't we?
okay, continuing, through the agenda, we've got, quite a few encumbrances.
So, I just wanted to, my motion is to approve all the, my motion is to approve all of the encumbrances on the agenda today. Just wanted to clarify that, I think that it's redundant, but I think it's appropriate to just clarify that we already approved the $3,200 for Carroll Manor, So that we're not approving a $6,400 in total, we're approving $3,200 in total. It's just the same motion that's been approved at 2 consecutive meetings.
It was just asked to be put on, so, I
Second.
mean,
And then also, for clarification, the 7842 at the superintendent line, is intended for all of the, what do you call it, benefits, employee benefits due with the resignation of the current superintendent, or of the current superintendent.
Okay, and this is a motion to approve all of them in one vote, correct?
Correct.
And I will second that.
I think
yeah,
Paul
okay.
already did, so we've got a motion on the floor to approve the encumbrances by Dr. Blue, seconded by Paul Ryder.
I will say that I went through all of these, looked at the budgets, made sure the money was there, because that's happened before, and that there has an invoice or a contract.
Okay.
And I did not make a couple of them copy their contract that's slightly worse than it. I only got certain parts of it, I do know it's on file.
All right, thank you for that. Okay, any other discussion, questions? All those in favor of approving the encumbrances signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries 6-0. Okay, we do have some additionals to be advertised. I would like to suggest, and I think it's already been mentioned earlier, that this additional for the second deputy probation, I believe needs to be advertised out of probation rather than county general.
I concur.
And actually, it's higher than what the, salary ordinance says, so I need to know, do you want me just to continue with this figure and then you can figure it out? It's like 4,500, even more.
Okay.
I just wanna make sure that it's right on the,
And we'll, I mean, this is just showing that.
that's what I mean, it's just,
But we're definitely scratching that line and changing it to the, what do you call it? Supplemental adult
supplemental
provision.
wage.
Yes,
Supplemental
yes.
adult provision.
I'm fine with the figure though.
Okay. Census,
This one was in the board's probation here.
no, he's on vacation.
Okay, and then we have some additionals that were advertised back on January 4th. Three of the four are specific to the upcoming trial. And I wanted to ask your clarification on this, Beth, the Camden Housing Capital Outlay edit additional, is that redundant to the last
Well,
edit
I have
request?
to advertise it
Okay,
to get it on the edit list.
okay,
Okay, so that's where that's coming.
okay. So, I believe we would need a motion to approve these additionals, correct?
Correct, I'm
So,
not sure about Camden Housing, unless you do the, you know, the,
yeah, I think you can, but Camden Housing can be handled during,
Well,
it's an edit request.
okay, well, actually, this should not be down here. Because all of these have been advertised, and none of them have been approved yet. They were on different times. November 30th was where this chunk down here was, advertised, and it's been continued. So, at the top, Camden should not have been on, that was an oversight on my part, I should not have put it down there, because it's up on the top. So I just wanted to show that all of them have been advertised,
Okay.
okay? Sorry.
So we can handle that Camden Housing request in
In the
this,
edits.
in this you're saying in the edit
Mhm.
portion, okay.
It's just two different days as advertising. You guys had asked me to tell you when I advertise things, you said how do we know they've been advertised, so I decided I'm starting putting the advertisement date.
I like it.
Good job.
So I move to approve county general claims for, account 2202-MR1, all three claims.
Second.
So I just want to point, or just a point of clarity, I mean, this is the trial expenses. We've said it at length that, we're all transparent as possible, so that's why, Beth, I believe, you know, put the name for the fund, that would be associated with case number. What would cause them, I'm not sure what the term word is there, but, once this is put in the system if this is approved and put in the system, then it will have a budget just like any other department would have a budget. And, at that time, I'll make sure that I, meet with the stakeholders, the prosecutor's office, the sheriff's office, our emergency management director's been actively involved in that and helping with the security, so everybody that's involved there, I'll be involved. Yeah, oh, well, that's not getting, yes, it's not, there's no committee.
Well, then you can explain it to us.
Yeah. But I'll meet with them to make sure that everybody understands what the budget is and who can use it and how they use it, and I'll make sure that Beth, is in that meeting as well, so that she can understand, or that everybody understands the workflow and how claims should work, to make sure that the different, because there will be multiple people making claims on this, so it's a little bit unusual, where you would usually just have a department head, you'll have the sheriff that can make claims, you have the prosecutor, the courts, so it would be a little bit of a different, situation, and Beth is up to speed on that, and make sure that the department heads know what they need to do as well.
Is it not under a gag order?
The gag order is still absolutely in force, and so, I just wanted,
At this point, there will not be a discussion.
so,
Not here.
yeah, so the gag order is in place, and, any and all requests for, clarification, can be sent to the courts, and we have a representative from the courts that will take all those requests.
I was just noting that, so.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
actually, they said to bring them to me, I gave them a card.
yes, so media requests or whatever, the courts have a representative that will handle those media requests to make sure that we comply with the gag order.
Thanks for your work on that. We've got a motion on the floor to approve, these additionals, labeled 2202-MR-1. Motion stated by Josh Blue, seconded by Tracy Martin. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6-0. Okay, that brings us to, the edit funds that we tabled, last month for this month. I would open that up for,
I have a question.
yeah,
On Chamber of Commerce and the grants, was there, oh, I'm sorry. Can you come up here, Julia? My question is, was there any change to, or have the commissioners made any changes or requested any changes to the grant making that's different this year than it was last year?
They have not.
So,
Actually, it hasn't been discussed, it's not that they haven't. We.
It's part of the contract.
Right.
We know that.
okay, so you still have a grant bucket, if you will, and then these amounts are in excess of that grant bucket?
No, those include the grant money. And I know.
No, excuse me, 3,000 to Burlington and 3,500.
Oh, no, that is not, no.
No, they do not, they're not in our grant.
They're not in our grant bucket.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
So she has a grant bucket, and then they are asking for an additional, the commissioners are requesting 3,000 and 3,500.
Yeah.
So, Tim, I assume we're gonna have to do these one at a time.
think so, yeah.
I move to approve the Chamber of Commerce, edit request.
So you're specifying the 90,000
Yes,
only?
yes.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the edit request from Chamber of Commerce, $90,000. Is there a second?
Second.
Any other questions or discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign? Okay, motion passes 4-2, Tracy Martin and Scott Ayers opposing.
I move to approve the $8,000 for the county clerks.
Second.
We've got a motion to approve the $8,000 request to the county clerks by Josh Blue, seconded by Paul Ryder. Any question or discussion? Yes, sir.
I'm with the county clerk, Bob Burton.
Bob, yeah, stand
I
up.
would, I have a couple questions. I do have some bids questions about the board. But I have a couple questions with the attorney also about, the low, I have a range of bids that run from $38.25 to $93.75, which that $93.75 is over our allotted amount of $8,000, so that's pretty much out. The low bid does not have insurance. Religious beliefs do not allow them to have insurance. He agreed to sign a waiver if possible. I would just like to clarify this, so I have those answers, when I go, since it was approved. The mid-range bid is they were asking the other bids, and I have copies if they'd like the bids to look at. That's one.
I think this would be a commissioner's issue.
And I was gonna say, do you know Ted Johnson, the county
Yeah,
attorney?
yeah,
He'd probably be the
okay,
first stop on those questions.
okay, well, I thought I would ask them while I was here.
And I'm happy to chime in if Ted wants me to, but
Yeah.
in general, he'd be in control of those kinds of questions.
Okay, the other question on
You're
that,
changing it, you need to talk to the commissioners first.
changing it.
Yeah, a little bit, I mean, you're talking about changing
The other question was one contractor, which is a commercial contractor, requested 40% of the total, down, and I didn't know if that was allowable.
Generally not, but again, that'd be Ted's call. You don't prepay in
Okay,
government in
yeah.
general.
That's exactly what I figured.
Yeah.
All right, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, so there's a motion on the floor to approve the $8,000 request.
What, he's wanting the $8,000 just to be painting, or?
There was a list of
Okay,
things.
so it's not, okay.
What
think
happened
there's-
with one year that last year, Diener fell through. So he wanted to encumber it, and he encumbered it with this amount. So I think it's $3,000 was encumbered with this 8. So it was really a 5.
$8,000 for whatever you need.
Okay. Well, for what he requested. And that's what I thought he was gonna give us today. I don't know.
That's what I mean, we have to say what the $8,000 is gonna be spent on, or?
There was a list of things that he provided.
Yes, it gave it to you the last time.
It's in-
It was power washing. You guys all should have a copy of this from the last meeting. Remember? Power washing and painting, the exterior of the clubhouse and the bathroom storage building.
That's good, I read that.
Okay, any other comments or questions, discussion on this? All Alright, again, the motion on the floor by Josh Blue, seconded by Paul Ryder, is that we approve the edit request to the county parks in the amount of $8,000. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Alright, motion carries 6-0.
Move to approve the $15,000 to senior family services.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor to approve the senior family services edit request for $15,000. Motion by Josh Blue, seconded by Scott Ayers. Any questions or discussion on this? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6-0.
Move to approve the Economic Development Corporation 164-254-50.
Contractual, right.
Second.
Okay, the motion is to approve the economic development quote in the amount of $164,254.50. Motion by Josh Blue, seconded by Paul Ryder. Any questions or discussion on this?
What's the scope for the director and then advertising and so forth?
This is a contract that we have, this is the second year in that contract.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Alright, motion passes 6-0.
One by one?
Yes.
Yeah, that's all the appropriations.
Motion to approve Carroll Manor for $24,000.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor to approve the Carroll Manor edit request in the amount of $24,000 by Paul Ryder, seconded by Doc Stoffer. Do we have any questions or
So I wanted to,
discussion on that?
Can you refresh what the 24,000 is for, please? Hello, I'm February 1st, gonna be the new superintendent of Carroll Manor for Samantha James Smith. The 24,000 is for the commissioners approved it for salary for 6 months, approximately for next year, so that I can have an assistant to help, cover shifts, things like that.
So the 24,000 is for what position?
The assistant superintendent.
Okay.
Payroll.
Scott, get your charger with you, that's
My charger?
charger for this.
I do not.
I think this one is.
You said that was for 6 months?
It was for approximately 6 months, I, just calculated it out, I'm not sure the exact dollar amount for the assistant, and it was 40,000 and some odd dollars. And divided that by the pays for 6 months.
So we have a motion and second, right? Mine are fair, are you still answering the question? So, I looked this up before the meeting, and we, in 2022, the manor had, operation loss of $131,000. In 2021, had an operational loss of $70,000-ish. I can give you the exact numbers, but I can't see it. So, this amount doesn't fix the problem. We all know that when we went through the budget process, that the budget request would not pass muster with the state board of accounts. So therefore, we have, this is shooting a BB gun at an elephant. It doesn't fix the problem. So, and I have just general problem with using economic development dollars in Carroll Manor. But we have a general fund, I mean, we have $400,000 funds that have been earmarked for the Carroll Manor in
Some of those funds have been
the
utilized.
county general, yes.
It's probably.
Nominally
Yeah,
400,000.
In the 350,
Okay.
360 range.
Agreed. And we can verify that. But so my point being, like,
Please note though, those have to be used for maintenance, no salary, no.
I'd like to see
Yeah.
the ordinance that is stating what we can do.
yeah, I mean, that can be debated. But, the point of my story is that this will not fix the problem. Like operationally, Carroll Manor, if you pass this, doesn't get better, and it is not in a cash problem where they have to have it today. The request is for an assistant director, which we have not approved, and if you approve this, then 6 months down, or 2 months, 3 months, whatever it's gonna be, we're gonna have the same conversation.
That's my concern, like, why the arbitrary 6-month timeframe?
That was what the commissioners did, you know, I was hired, November 30th as the assistant, I understand Martha had been without an assistant since, I believe, October of 2021. My first 2 weeks there as assistant, I was pulling shifts, because we're short-staffed, our salary ordinance is $11 to $15 an hour for a facility that's 24 hours. So, we have to keep people in there all the time, and if there's just one person in the office, like, I can't do the day-to-day functions and the reports and the paperwork if I don't have enough staff to cover the shift. The assistant would help levy that, but I think that's what the commissioners did, was calculated with what the salary would have been for 2023 for the assistant, and divided it by the pays for the 6 months, is what.
That's not what I would make.
Okay.
But I think you're solving the problem, you just spoke it. You have to keep employees in there, and you have to keep residents in there. And no assistant for 6 months is gonna help you do that.
No, I understand
If you're
that.
going to take on the role of the head administrator, that is your big accomplishment to say, is come back and say, this is what I've done.
Mhm. But I can't go out and get people in there,
You have
promote
to.
the place while I'm working my 80 hours every 2 weeks, or covering shifts if we
You
have
have to. You gotta find a way to make it work. When you